The Amalfi Coast. The Amalfi Coast in Italy is a beautiful place to travel. It's a beautiful area with an interesting culture. Located on the Tyrrhenian Sea next to the Mediterranean in southern Italy, the Amalfi Coast has high mountains and amazing beaches. Amalfi is on the west coast of Italy, and it takes less than 4 hours to drive there from Rome, the country's capital. You'll love it from the moment you arrive there. There are many activities for travelers, including beautiful beaches for swimming. You can also play games on the beach and catch frisbees. A boat trip is a good way to spend the day, and you may see ducks and other birds sitting on the water. Fishing is also a popular activity. There are dozens of villages on the Amalfi Coast, and you can visit one of them to see how a typical local person lives. If you're friendly, you might even get invited into someone's house to enjoy home-cooked Italian food. Italians like drinking alcohol, especially wine. The Amalfi Coast has lots of gardens to explore. Italy is famous for its pizza and pasta. However, the Amalfi Coast is also well known for fish and octopus because it is located next to the water. Pastries are a popular breakfast food on the Amalfi Coast. August is a popular month to travel to the Amalfi Coast because the weather is warm. It's easy to spend a week traveling around the area. Make sure to take a camera so you can take a lot of photos. We're sure you'll agree that it's a great place.
The laboratory. Mia's father had a laboratory, but she had no idea what was in it. Her dad always closed and locked the door when he went in. She knew that he used it to do projects for work. He never told Mia what these projects were. One night, Mia approached the door to the laboratory. She stopped and thought, "I wonder what crazy experiment he is doing now." Suddenly, she heard a loud noise. It sounded like an evil laugh. The noise scared her, so she walked quickly back to her room. The next night, her friend Liz came to her house. When Liz arrived, Mia told her about the night before. "Oh, it was terrible," she said. "Why don't we see what is in there?" Liz asked. "It will be a fun adventure." Mia felt nervous about going into her father's laboratory, but she agreed. As always, the door was locked. They waited until Mia's father left the laboratory to eat dinner. "He didn't lock the door," Liz said. "Let's go." The laboratory was dark. The girls walked down the stairs carefully. Mia smelled strange chemicals. What terrible thing was her father creating? Suddenly, they heard an evil laugh. It was even worse than the one Mia heard the night before. What if a monster was going to kill them? Mia had to do something. She shouted for help. Mia's father ran into the room and turned on the lights. "Oh no," he said. "You must have learned my secret." "Your monster tried to kill us," Mia said. "Monster?" he asked. "You mean this?" He had a pretty doll in his hands. The doll laughed. The laugh didn't sound so evil anymore. "I made this for your birthday. I wanted to give it to you then, but you can have it now. I hope you like it."
The report. Lee sat among the books at the library and thought about his group project. They had to turn it in soon, but he hadn't even started his part. Jack and Claire were in his group. They had worked hard. They were also very smart, and Lee didn't want them to get a bad grade. Jack did the report. He wrote a lot of very good sentences and described things clearly and carefully. Claire drew a nice map of the stars. Now, Lee needed to do his part of the project. Well, I suppose I need to start my model, Lee thought. Making a model of a planet was really hard. Lee tried to read several books, but he couldn't understand any of the charts. "We're going to fail because of me," Lee said. He put his head down on the table and said, "I wish I could see a planet and an alien instead of having to read about it." Suddenly, he had a great idea that would help him solve his problem. Why not go on the web and look for photographs of the Earth and other planets taken from space? They would give him a really good view of the planets they had to talk about in their report. Instead of a bad grade, his group would have the best project ever. The photos of Earth showed lots of clouds, but you could still see the shapes of land and seas on Earth. He also looked at photos of Mars. Lee now had plenty of ideas for making a model of the planet Mars. All he had to do was to turn his ideas into a model. He used a small ball to help him make the shape he wanted and then painted it to look like the photos of Mars that he had seen. Sometimes, seeing is much more helpful than just reading.
The Dog's Bell. John's dog was a bad dog. He bit people frequently. John was concerned about this. It was not an appropriate way for a dog to behave. His friends in the village always expected the dog to bite them. The news about John's dog spread through the village. None of the people wanted to go to John's house. John tried to instruct the dog to behave, but it never worked. He tried to be patient and teach the dog to be calm. That also didn't work. John didn't want to punish the dog. How will I stop my dog's bad habit? John asked himself. John's friend came to talk to him about the issue. During their important meeting, his friend said, the people in the village asked me to represent them. We want your dog to stop this habit. Why don't you put a bell around the dog's neck? This way, we would hear your dog coming down the street. John thought this was a great idea. Now people could stay away from the dog. It would not be able to bite anyone anymore. The dog liked the bell too. People looked at him when they heard his bell. This made the dog very content. He liked the sound the bell made when he walked. One day, John's dog strolled through the village and met some other dogs. He expected them to want a bell like his. But they laughed at his bell. They said the bell made people avoid him. John's dog shook his head. No, they look at me because they like the bell. The other dogs said, You have the wrong idea about what makes you popular. Of course they like your bell. It tells them where you are, so they can avoid you. You aren't able to bite them anymore. You see, being popular isn't something positive when it's for the wrong reason.
Have you heard of the Ironman triathlon? It's considered one of the most challenging sporting events in the world. Competitors swim, ride a bike, and run. The race consists of a 3.86-kilometer swim, a 180.25-kilometer bicycle ride, and a 42.2-kilometer run. There are no breaks during the race, so competitors must keep going no matter what. People who choose to enter this race must be healthy and prepared in both mind and body. Ironman races are held all over the world. Some well-known competitions take place in New Zealand, Germany, and California in the United States. There are several rules for those who want to compete in the Ironman. The minimum age of racers is 18, so everyone who competes is an adult. Training for the Ironman can take more than a year. People who train often start practicing the events at shorter distances first, and then increase the amount of length and time they swim, bike, and run. Training can be difficult because people need to find a balance of strength and endurance training. Without enough training, people can get bad injuries. Some people even gain weight when training because their bodies store calories instead of using them for energy. All people in training should drink plenty of water. Doctors believe that exercise is good for people's health and helps the heart. People participate in other sports and games such as golf or American football. But the Ironman is a challenging way to stay fit. Even though it is hard, it can still be fun. It's a great way to stay active and enjoy life.
The twins. Katie and Alice were twins. They were so alike that few people could tell them apart. They were almost like seeing one person looking in a mirror. They even spoke in the same way as each other. They were best friends. But the twins' attributes were not all exactly the same. Alice preferred sports and was a star athlete in soccer. Katie preferred foreign languages and was bilingual in French. Katie decided to be a participant at a summer camp in France. Alice wasn't interested in the French language, so she didn't go. But she was angry that Katie wanted to spend the summer away from her. 2 months later, Katie returned. Alice dashed to the airport to greet her sister. But when Alice saw Katie, she was surprised. Katie now spoke French, and she looked completely different. She was wearing fashionable clothes, and she looked taller. Alice felt very messy next to her. She was just wearing an old t-shirt, and her hair looked untidy. When Alice asked Katie about France, Katie was vague and didn't say much. It made Alice feel tense and filled her with disgust because in the past they'd always told each other everything. Now there was a huge gulf between them. Over the weeks, the sisters spoke even less. 2 months later, it was the twins' birthday. All their lives, they'd had a ritual. Before their birthday, they'd talk all night long. That night, Alice came into Katie's bedroom. "I'm sorry I haven't spoken to you much lately," Katie said. "I understand. You have new friends now," said Alice angrily. Katie said, "My French friends don't write much nowadays. For a while, I thought they were more exciting than my friends at home, but I was wrong. You're my sister, and you'll always be my best friend." Alice said, "I'm sorry too. I wanted our relationship to stay the same forever, but it's totally natural for twins to have different interests. We can still be best friends without being together all the time."
The Best Prince. King Minos was very sick. His condition was getting worse. He had 3 sons. He loved them all. He had to announce who would become king. 2 of the princes stood waiting outside the king's room. Theseus was the oldest and strongest. He thought his father would make him king. Peleus, the second son, thought differently. He was an expert in fighting. He thought the king would choose him. "When I'm king," Theseus told Peleus, "I'll let you contribute to protect our country. You can lead the army." Peleus became angry. "Father knows I'm famous for my fighting skills. He'll make me king." "You?" Theseus said. "He won't choose you." "The kingdom is mine," Peleus claimed. "Father will give it to me, or I'll use force to take it." Theseus made a sudden move to take out his sword. Then Peleus did the same. "Beating me will be a challenge," Theseus said. "Fight me now. The winner gets the kingdom." Peleus agreed. King Minos could hear his sons fighting. The youngest son, Jason, stood beside him. He sensed his father's sadness. The king laid his hand on Jason's arm. "Your brothers fight too much," the king told him. "I must protect my kingdom from all harm. They'll divide it between them. The people won't know what to do. There'll be war. I can't allow either of them to be king. Therefore, I'm making you king. Your kindness has always made you special. It's the difference between you and your brothers. You can bring peace. They can't." Then the king died. Theseus and Peleus heard that their youngest brother was king. They were surprised. They realized that their fighting was wrong. It had kept them from saying goodbye to their father. They agreed to have Jason as their king. He was the best choice.
How the sun and the moon were made. Do you ever wonder where the moon and the sun came from? The Inuit people of Alaska have a theory. They tell a story about a beautiful girl. She was very nice. In contrast, her brother was a mean little boy. One day, he proposed something. "We should go to a party," he said. The girl accepted. First, it was necessary for her to get ready. She arranged her hair and put on nice clothes. This required a lot of time. But the girl worked hard, and soon she was satisfied. She looked perfect. They attended the party together. The girl was having fun. Later, she walked into the bathroom. Suddenly, the lights were turned off. Someone grabbed her hair and tore her clothes. She ran out of the bathroom. She wanted to know who did this to her. Then she had an idea. She fixed her hair again. This time, it was even more beautiful. She even arranged beautiful jewels in it. She wanted to encourage the person to grab it again. She put black dirt in her hair. The purpose of this was to catch the person. She went to the bathroom again, and it was the same pattern. The lights went off, and someone grabbed her hair. When he released it, his hand was black. The girl returned to the party. She knew there was only a single person with a black hand. When she saw that person, he was very familiar. It was her brother. He ran into the woods. The girl ran after him. They both carried fire so they could see in the dark. The smoke went into the air. As they ran, they grew. They became huge. Then they went into space. When the girl's fire went out, she hung in the sky. She became the moon, and her brother became the sun. They chase each other forever.
Service animals. Have you ever seen a blind person on the bus with a dog? This dog is most likely a service animal. A service animal is an animal that is trained to do things for people who cannot do them alone because of a disability. Dogs are most usually used as service animals because they are intelligent animals. They also have a good sense of smell and can sense dangerous situations. In addition, dogs are easy to train and are loyal to their owners. When they are close to their owners, dogs will do anything to keep them safe. Service dogs are sometimes called guide dogs or hearing dogs. These dogs can help people who cannot see or hear. They are trained to open and close a door, push a button, and listen to a command. These dogs can also help people who have a hurt leg and need to use a wheelchair to get around. Service dogs are strong and can even pull wheelchairs. If these people ever need medical attention, the dogs are trained to bark and get help. Dogs can also be used as therapy dogs. Therapy dogs may visit a school or hospital to help people who are feeling lonely or anxious. Their bad feelings can create health problems. Therapy dogs can provide kindness and love to improve a person's mood, which can then improve that person's health. Although dogs are the most common service animals, there are other animals that can be trained to be service animals as well. You might see a cat, a rabbit, or a horse that is used as a service animal. These animals can keep a person company and become a good friend. Many people depend on service animals for help. Service animals can do jobs that people cannot do alone. And they can help improve the health of people by making them feel happy.
The First Peacock. Argos lived in ancient Greece. He was a husband and a proud father. He worked hard and did well at his job. But one thing about him wasn't normal. He was born with 100 eyes. Having many eyes was usually a benefit to him. He had a chance to see many things. Also, since he had so many eyes, he was very good at guarding things. While sleeping, he only rested a few eyes at a time. The others stayed open. He worked for Hera, a great goddess. His primary function was to guard a special cow. The cow was very important to Hera. She loved it. The most essential part of his job was to keep the cow alone. It had to be kept separate from all the other cows and far away from people. This was an easy job for Argos. The cow just ate grass all day. But the god Zeus wanted the cow. He wanted to take it away from Hera. He had a plan. He found a great music player. He asked the man to play a beautiful song for Argos. Zeus was certain Argos would go to sleep. The song had an immediate effect. Argos couldn't focus on his job. He fell asleep. Zeus saw this, and he took the cow. Hera was very angry with Argos. She turned him into a peacock. She put his many eyes on his tail. Argos was very sad. Zeus saw how much trouble he had given Argos. He made another plan. He turned Argos into a group of stars. He wanted Argos to remain in the sky forever. Even today, Argos's image remains there, above the site where all his problems began. We can still see him in the night sky.
Keeping our earth clean. Across the world, Places are increasing their efforts to recycle and help the environment. Recycling is when trash is reused and not thrown away. In recent history, more and more cities and countries have started recycling. These places have developed their recycling programs to stop our Earth from being covered with trash and black, dirty air. According to the Environmental Protection Agency in the United States, recycling also helps save energy. The agency encourages the recycling of glass and plastic bottles, paper, and aluminum cans. Many European countries have strong recycling programs as well. Austria, Germany, and Norway are well known for being leaders in recycling. And South Korea and Wales are countries that have a lot of recycling as well. There are many reasons why some countries recycle more than others. The fact is that these governments support recycling, and they are aware of its importance. There is also a lot of money spent on recycling. However, it is also necessary for people to try hard to recycle what they can from their own homes. Other ways to fight the waste problem also exist. Many cities place recycling bins on their streets. There are recycling projects across some cities, and in these projects, companies advertise the need to recycle. This helps keep the city streets clean. Electric cars are another way to keep the environment clean. The motors of these cars are electric. They get their power from electricity and batteries rather than from gas. The hope is that eventually all cities in all countries will recycle and make our Earth a cleaner place. We must protect nature and never stop thinking about how to protect it. So think before you throw away something that can be recycled.
Fraunhofer was the best artist in the world. Everyone loved him. The quality of his paintings was very high. He always used the best materials. He made a big profit from his paintings. He had delicious meals with his rich neighbors. He taught art classes. Life was good. Then his attitude changed. He stopped selling paintings and teaching. He tried a new method of painting. He stayed alone in his apartment all day. He worked all day and all night, rarely eating. Soon Fraunhofer became very thin, but he kept working on the same painting for many years. He worked as hard as he could. Finally, he finished the painting. He was very happy and invited other artists to see it. "I want your professional opinion," he said. He wanted them to judge it and compare it to other paintings. Everyone was very excited as they went up the stairs to his apartment. Fraunhofer was excited to show his painting, and the artists were excited to see it. "They'll love it," he thought. But they did not. They were surprised by his painting. There was no white anywhere. Fraunhofer filled the whole painting with lines and colors. There was no space for a normal picture. It was full of strange shapes. It looked bad to the other artists. He used symbols, and they didn't understand them. They thought it was terrible. "Why did you paint this strange picture?" someone asked. They didn't understand its beauty. But after some time, many people began to like his painting. People wrote articles about it in magazines. They said it was his best work. They loved his strange symbols. They loved his strange colors. Fraunhofer's painting reminded everyone that just because something was new didn't mean that it was bad. He also helped them to realize that sometimes it takes people a little time to understand great things.
The taxi driver. Peter's job was driving a taxi downtown. He made a small salary, but he liked his job because it wasn't dull. Every day, he saw new things that appealed to him. Peter was practical about the future. Maybe I can get a scholarship for college, he thought. I could study accounting and get a job at a bank. I could help clients invest their money. Peter stopped to pick up a passenger. "Where to?" he asked. "Go to the 4th Street Bank, and don't talk to me. I've had a rough day," the man said. Peter was a peaceful person, so he was not angry. When they stopped, the man's fare came to $10.25. He put his hands in his pockets. "I can't find my wallet," he said. "I can't pay the fare." Peter said, "I'll give you a temporary loan. You can borrow $10.25 from me." The man was embarrassed and said, "I was mean to you, but now I want to help you. I founded this bank. I want to give you $100. That much money was like a treasure to Peter. The man urged him to take the money, but he didn't. "You're an honest person," the man said. "I assumed you would take it. I want you to work for me." The next day, Peter started his job at the bank. He was happy to leave his former job.
A Magical Book. Sarah loved to read. She read novels and poems. She loved the beautiful descriptions and phrases. She loved reading work by poets and writers. She didn't like video games or technology. She was on the basketball team, but she didn't like sports. Her parents made her play basketball. In fact, Sarah's parents made her do many things. But she didn't want to do those things. She just wanted to sit and read all day. One day, a small book came in the mail. It was for Sarah. The book looked very special. It was printed on sheets of gold. Sarah began to read. The outline of the story was simple. It was about a magical place. Strange things happened there. One example from the book was about a boy who could control people. In one scene, he made his friends tell funny jokes. Sarah loved the book. She read it all the time. Then something strange happened. The book gave Sarah a special power. She could control other people. She was like the boy in the book. During one exam, she made her friend tell silly jokes. Her friend got in trouble. After school, Sarah did not make a direct trip home. On the way, she went to the local store. She wanted to play more tricks on people. She made problems. She made people fall down. She laughed and had fun. Finally, she left and started to walk home. Then she saw something. Her basketball coach was about to walk in front of a bus. He was looking the other way. She had to stop him. She used her power. She controlled him. She made him stop walking. Sarah learned something that day. It was better to help people than make them suffer. So she put a limit on how she used her power. She did not want to do bad things with it anymore. She only wanted to do good.
The Big Race. A dog saw a group of animals cross the road. He walked over to meet them. "What are you doing?" he asked them. "I just sold them tickets to a race between the rabbit and the turtle," the duck responded. The dog was extremely excited. He felt fortunate that he happened to be there. "I don't have anything to do today," the dog said. "I want to buy a ticket too." The dog sat down to observe the race. It would be many kilometers in length. The rabbit and the turtle stood next to each other. They waited for the race to start. The dog wondered why the turtle agreed to run against the rabbit. Being fast was not a characteristic of turtles. The rabbit was going to win easily. Suddenly, the race began. The rabbit ran extremely quickly. The turtle walked slowly. After a minute, the rabbit looked back. He saw that the turtle was far behind him and was breathing quickly because he was so tired. The rabbit smiled and slowed down to a walk. A minute later, the rabbit said, "I'm winning, so I'll take a rest." He sat and began to consume some grass. Then he let his eyes close. He wasn't the winner yet, but there was no risk of him losing the race. He went to sleep. Hours later, a loud sound woke him. All of the animals were talking loudly and looking at the field. He felt fear for the first time. The turtle was almost at the finish line. Now the rabbit realized his mistake. But the race was over. He gave the turtle an opportunity to win, and the turtle took it. The duck handed the turtle his prize. It was the happiest day of the turtle's life. The dog was happy for the turtle. "He isn't fast," the dog thought, "but he tried his best and did something great."
Kwanzaa. Kwanzaa is a 7-day holiday celebrated in the United States and other countries by people of African descent. It is celebrated from December 26th to January 1st each year. The celebration is dedicated to honoring African culture and working together as a community. Kwanzaa was created in 1966 by Maulana Karenga. Karenga was an African Studies professor at California State University. According to him, Kwanzaa comes from the Swahili language and means first fruit. Karenga wanted to create a holiday for African Americans as a way for them to reconnect with their heritage. The colors of Kwanzaa are black, red, and green. These colors are seen in decorations, such as African pieces of art, baskets, and cloth. Millions of African Americans wear African clothes during Kwanzaa and decorate their homes with fruit and vegetables. Each day, a family will celebrate one of 7 different principles of their African heritage, such as unity, faith, and community. Then they light a candle. The candles are put on a candle holder called a kinara. The middle candle is black. The 3 candles on one side of the kinara are red, and the other 3 candles are green. On the 6th day of Kwanzaa, families remember their ancestors and get together for a big dinner called a keramu. Traditional African American dishes, which include chicken, fish, rice, beans, peas, sweet potatoes, and other vegetables, are served. Like Christmas, there are gifts which are exchanged on the 7th day. Books are always included because they symbolize the importance of learning about history and tradition. Kwanzaa is a way of celebrating the end of the year by honoring African culture and traditions, and to start the new year with family members as well as the community.
The race for water. There was a town next to a river. The people there had a lot of water, but they wasted it. That made the sky angry. It said, "If you waste water, I will take it away from you." But the people didn't listen. When the season changed from spring to summer, the clouds disappeared. The bright sun was hot and made the river dry. There was no water available. People asked, "When will the rain fall?" The sky's response was, "You don't appreciate water. You waste it, and now I will never make rain again." A boy decided that this wasn't fair. He thought of a solution. He asked the sky to race him. He said, "If I get to the top of that hill before your rain can form puddles, you must fill our river." The sky laughed. "Little boy, I am the sky. I am above everything else. You cannot beat me." But the boy knew he would win. When the race began, the boy ran forward. The sky started raining on the hill, but puddles did not form there. When it rained on the hill, the water went down. The sky kept raining. The water flowed down into the river. When the boy reached the top of the hill, the river was full. The people began to celebrate. It was the highest level the river had ever been at before. The sky was angry. "A boy can't beat me. I won't fill your river," it said. Now the boy laughed. "It doesn't matter whether you want to fill it or not," he said. "You already did." The sky looked at the full river. "You tricked me," it said. It asked the people, "Do you appreciate water now?" "Yes," they said. "We won't waste it." That is how a lone boy saved his town and won the race for water.
Eat healthy. It is important to eat healthy food. There are 5 main healthy food groups. They are grains, fruits, vegetables, protein, and dairy. A food pyramid can show you how much of each group you should eat. Many different kinds of food are necessary for a balanced diet. You need to eat grains, such as rice, wheat, and several types of bread. Fruits and vegetables are also important. Fruits, such as bananas, are good for you. Others, such as oranges and kiwis, contain a lot of vitamin C. Vegetables are an important part of a daily diet. They are extremely healthy and can be eaten in many ways. Salads with raw vegetables, such as spinach and carrots, are common, but you can also cook vegetables in many different ways. Soups are another easy way to get vegetables into your diet. Protein is an important food group too. Meats, such as beef and chicken, are well-known forms of protein. Tofu, beans, eggs, and nuts also contain high amounts of protein. You should also eat dairy products, such as cheese, yogurt, and milk as well. A healthy diet includes drinking lots of water instead of sugary drinks, such as soda and juice. While sweets may not be considered healthy foods, they are fine if you don't eat too many. Chocolate and cake are well-loved sweets commonly found at restaurants and grocery stores. They are often served at special events, such as birthday parties and weddings. At restaurants, you can ask the waiters to tell you which ingredients are included in different dishes. At home, you can always find healthy and delicious recipes in cookbooks or on the internet. Eating healthy food is great for your health.
Shipwrecked. Simon Yates was a lawyer. He helped many people. However, he was not a nice man. His policy was to help only rich people. He didn't bother about social injustice. He made a lot of money, but many people didn't like him. Even people on his staff didn't like him. In fact, they were glad when he got into trouble. Simon had a very bad day. He did many things wrong and lost his job. Soon, He didn't have any money. His wife, Mrs. Yates, began to have doubts about him. Simon wanted to start a new life. He planned to leave the country. He mentioned his plan to the captain of a ship. The captain was exploring the world. The captain felt bad for Simon and said, "I will take you to foreign countries." They left the next day. Near the conclusion of their international trip, the weather turned bad. A wave pushed Simon off the boat, but he was alive. He swam toward an island. After a long time, he got there. At first, he was upset. He was lost and alone. "I'll never go home again," he thought. He had a lot of problems, but he didn't die. He built a house in a tree. He lived on a diet of fish. He made tools from wood and bones. He made a cup to drink rainwater. Slowly, he learned to be happy on the island. He swam every day. He had trouble sometimes, but he always found a way to fix the problem. Life was simple. He liked it. Finally, people on a ship saw Simon on the island. They wanted to take him home. But Simon was happy. He gave them a long speech about life. He said he wanted to stay. He liked his new, simple life more than his old life.
The 7 Cities of Gold. Many years ago, a Spanish officer named Coronado heard the story of 7 great cities. "The walls of these cities are made of gold," his friends told him. "The people eat meat from golden plates and dress in nice clothes," they said. They called these cities the 7 Cities of Gold. Were the cities real? Coronado never considered asking his friends. Coronado thought to himself, "The things in these cities must be worth a lot of money." So he went to find the 7 Cities of Gold. He took along 300 men, many horses, and extra food. They headed west. Coronado wanted to achieve his goal very badly. Coronado and his men rode for many days. Then they saw some cities. "We found the 7 Cities of Gold," his men said. But Coronado wasn't happy. He had a different opinion. "These can't be the 7 Cities of Gold," he said. "Look, they're made of dirt." Coronado was right. The cities weren't bright and golden. They were dirty and brown. The people didn't eat meat from golden plates. They ate vegetables from regular bowls. They wore the most basic clothes. Coronado regarded the cities as ugly places. "What happened to the cities of gold?" he thought. "Did someone destroy them? Was there a war? Did someone already come and take the gold?" That night, the people of the cities entertained Coronado and his men and served them food. They advised Coronado to go home. "There is no gold here," they told him. Coronado was angry. Did his friends lie to him? He left the next morning. He looked back at the cities one more time. The sun reflected light on the dirt houses. Coronado thought he saw a bit of gold. Were his friends right after all? No, he told himself. It's just the sun. Then he turned away and went home.
Katie. I first met 8-year-old Katie on a rainy afternoon. I was a nurse at a hospital. The clerk at the desk told me about Katie. She was there because she felt a lot of pain. The doctors located a problem at the base of her brain. I knew she was special even before she got better. I'll always remember Katie as a hero. When I entered Katie's room, she was not in her bed. She was in a chair next to Tommy, a little boy. Though Katie did not feel well, she was playing with Tommy and his toys. It took a lot of effort for her just to sit in the chair. But she played with Tommy because it made him happy. Katie was always smiling and never appeared to be in pain. She refused to just lie in bed. One day, I found her painting a picture. Later, she gave it to one of the older patients. Another day, she went outside to get flowers for another sick little girl. Katie made everyone smile. The doctors hurried to fix the problem in Katie's brain. The operation was successful. The doctors informed the hospital staff of the good news. Katie was fine. She soon felt excellent. She got better and was able to leave the hospital a month later. I have had a long career as a nurse. I have met many patients. However, I have never met another girl like Katie. Even after she got well, she still came to the hospital. She played various games with the young patients. She read many books to the older patients. Katie's kind heart helped her get better so quickly. She is a hero to me and everyone else at the hospital.
Jenny delivered food for a restaurant. She read the newspaper and said, "Uh-oh." There was a story about a thief. He stole food, and no one had seen him. Even the police couldn't catch him. Jenny was a little scared. She worked close to that area. The newspaper included a message from the police. "If anything strange occurs, call us. If you help us catch the thief, you'll earn a reward." Jenny talked to Jim. He managed the restaurant. "Do you know about the thief?" "Yes," he said, "but he steals more than one person can eat. And why haven't the police stopped him yet? It's a mystery. If you see him, contact the police. Don't run after him." Jenny drove to a customer's house. She left her car and opened the gate to the house. But then she heard a noise by her car. She said, "Thief!" She wasn't scared. She wanted the reward. She did the opposite of what Jim told her to do. "Hey," she said, "get back here." She set the food on the ground and ran to her car. But the thief had already left with the food. Jenny followed a noise around the corner. She was amazed. She saw a dog and some puppies. They were eating her food. They looked thin and scared. "The actual thief is just a dog. She's feeding her puppies," she said. "That's why she steals so much food." Jenny felt bad. She tried to comfort the dogs with another plate of food. Then she took them back to the store. Everyone there took a puppy home. Jenny called the police. She told them there was no real thief. Jenny didn't do it to receive the reward anymore. She said, "It was just a dog. But there's no charge for catching this thief," she said. "My new dog is a better reward."
The camp. Stacy wanted to stay at a nice hotel for vacation, but her parents sent her to a terrible camp instead. For breakfast, Stacy liked fresh juice and chocolate milk, but she got water at the camp. In the afternoon, she wanted to write poems, but she had to swim. The camp was near an airport with loud planes. Spider webs hung over her bed. To her, the kids' average behavior was very bad. No girl matched her personality. She hated it. One day they had a class. Mental exercise sounded good to Stacy. but it was a course on water safety. They learned how to be safe passengers on a boat. Stacy didn't ever plan to go on a boat. The next day, they played a game. There was a red team and a blue team. Stacy was on the blue team. Each team had to try to remove the other team's flag from a pole. They also had to use water guns. "I'm not much of an athlete," she said, but she still had to play. Stacy took a water gun and looked for somewhere to hide. A boy said, "Stacy, you advance to the middle. I will go right. Those two will go left." Stacy still didn't want to play. She walked into the forest and saw a red team player coming. Stacy hid behind a tree and then jumped out and shot the other player. "This is fun," Stacy thought. Several minutes after moving further, Stacy saw the red flag. A red team member was watching over it. She shot him with her water gun. Then she lowered the flag and ran back to her team. "I got it!" she said. The blue team won. Stacy was the hero. For the rest of the week, Stacy had fun. She even made new friends.
A strong friendship. Tim was the strongest man in the town. When he played sports, he always won. He performed and exercised in the public park. He did this to show everyone how strong he was. Most people liked him, but one man didn't. His name was Jack. Jack hated Tim. Jack was a movie critic and the smartest man in town. He could solve complex math problems, but no one cared. Jack wanted to be famous like Tim. One day, there was an unusual event. A big storm came suddenly. The town was buried in snow. No one could get out. They needed food. The people said, "This is a task for a strong man." Tim was under pressure to save them. But Jack wanted to be a hero, so they both went. Tim said, "You can't help because of your lack of strength." But Jack knew the local area very well and could find paths that were usable despite the snow. They led in the direction of another town. That town had food. They walked until there was a block of ice in their way. Jack said, "We can't get past it, but if you strike it, it might break." Tim knew he probably had enough strength, so he struck it with a hammer. It broke. When there were more blocks of ice, Tim broke them. That made him tired. He couldn't walk any more. Jack said, "Let's unite and support each other. I'll get the food alone. You rest here." Jack came back with food. Tim couldn't remember which path led home. He needed Jack to be his guide. The men became friends by working together. In town, people saw Jack with the food and cheered. They called Jack a hero, but Jack didn't care. He was thinking of something else. He said to Tim, "I thought I was smart, but I learned a new term today: friendship."
Joe's Pond. Joe made the world a better place. He got the idea to do that at school. He watched a video there. It was about a factory. This factory produced a lot of trash and put it in a river. The trash and water were a bad mix. People populated the area by the river and drank its water. This made them sick. Many of them needed medicine and made regular visits to doctors. But the video wasn't all bad news. It showed ways to pick up trash and why it's important to do this. It said people can make a difference to their environment. The video's important features made Joe associate trash with hurting people. One day, Joe walked through a park. He recognized some of the problems from the video. One instance of these problems was the trash in the pond. It was full of plastic cups. There was too much trash. Joe didn't want it to hurt anyone. He told his grandfather about the park. His grandfather said, "You know, it's a tradition in our family to help people. That's why we give food to poor people. Maybe you can help people by cleaning the park." Cleaning the park would involve hard work. Joe decided to organize a group to help him. He chose a wide area of the park. It had the most trash. He asked his family and friends to come. On Saturday, he gave everyone a sharp stick. They wondered why. He said, "You use the stick's tip to pick up trash. This makes it easier." They worked for 6 weeks. Different people helped each time, but Joe was always there. In that period of time, Joe saw a range of results. There was no trash in the water. People could swim in it. Joe knew that was a good sign. He was happy because he helped his environment.
Archie and his donkey. Old Archie needed some money. He decided to sell his donkey. So he and his son Tom went to town. It was situated many miles away. Soon they met a woman. "Where are you going?" she asked. "To town," said Archie. "Any smart person would ride the donkey," she said. "What are you implying?" Archie asked. "I'm very smart." Archie wanted to look smart, so he climbed onto the donkey. Then they continued in the direction of the town. Further along the road, they met a farmer. "Hello," said Archie. "We want to sell this donkey. Do you want to buy it?" "I don't need a donkey," said the farmer. "But if you want my advice, don't ride it. The donkey needs to be in good physical condition." "Good idea," said Archie. "Tom, I want you to ride it. You're lighter." "Neither you nor your son should ride it. It looks very tired. You should carry the donkey," suggested the farmer. "You're right," said Archie. "Come on, Tom. We'll carry it for the final few miles." The donkey was very heavy, and they couldn't maintain a good speed. They didn't arrive until late in the evening. At last, they walked into the town. But there, they attracted the attention of some teenage boys. They laughed at Tom and Archie. They started to throw stones at them. The donkey reacted by kicking. Tom and Archie dropped the donkey. It fell on the ground and then ran away. Archie lost his donkey. He went home with no money. What does this story teach us? We cannot please everyone in our society. Don't take everyone's advice, but set your own standards. Prove to everyone that you can make decisions by yourself. Otherwise, you may end up with nothing at all.
There was once a very big spider. However, if a bug got into his web, he didn't eat it right away. He would carefully examine it. He asked the bug a question first. It was always quite a difficult puzzle. If the bug's answer was correct, he let it go. If not, he ate it. One day, a small bird on a journey flew into the spider's web. The spider couldn't imagine eating a bird. It was so big. But his hunger was too great. He said to the bird, "If you cannot give me a specific answer, I will eat you." The bird laughed. "I could eat you." But the bird was actually scared. She had used all her energy trying to get out of the web. And a spider's bite can be very effective in killing animals. "Please don't eat me," the bird said. "I would rather make a deal with you." "Okay," the spider said. "If your answer is right, I will let you go. If not, you must give me a gift. It must be something of great value." The bird said, "You can pick anything you want to eat. I will find it for you." The spider agreed. "Where can you take a trip to the coast, the desert, and the mountains at the same time?" the spider asked. The bird said, "Can you help me figure that one out?" But the spider did not say anything. "I can see those places when I fly. Is the sky the right answer?" "False," said the spider. "The answer is Hawaii. Now you must find some bugs for me." The spider climbed on the bird's back. They flew and ate bugs together. They took a tour of the forest. Then the bird took the spider home. From that day on, they were friends. And they never tried to eat each other again.
The party. Cody's family moved to a new house. His dad got a new job as a professor. Cody liked his new town, but he missed his grandparents. For his birthday, Cody wanted to have a party. His dad said, "Yes, we could even have a band play." On the day of the party, Cody woke up and rushed to get ready. He started to check his list of things to do. He was so excited. But then he noticed something terrible. There was snow on the ground, and lots of it. "Dad," he said, "how can the band play their instruments outside?" Dad said, "We'll move the stage inside." It barely fit within the garage because there were some boxes and garbage there. But when they finished, they got a call from the band. They did not want to come in the storm. Dad said, "Let's get someone to perform magic." But no one would come because of the snow. Finally, Dad said, "Cody, there's too much snow. We need to cancel the party." "Yes, sir," Cody said sadly. "It's going to be a boring birthday," he predicted. Cody wanted to share his birthday with someone. He wanted to be at his old home. He wanted to see his grandparents. But then something got his attention. He noticed a car in the driveway. His grandparents owned a car like that. Cody was right. His grandparents came for his birthday. "Happy birthday, Cody. We're sorry we are late, but there was so much snow, it made us go off schedule. We tried to leave a message to tell you." Cody told them what happened. "I'm sorry," said Grandpa. "I was sad," Cody said, "but I'm not anymore. I'm so happy to see you." Dad brought out something special for Cody's birthday. It was his favorite, a sundae with whipped cream on top. Then Cody told his grandparents about the new town. It was his best birthday ever.
The Demon's Bridge. A young woman's cow had crossed the river in the morning when the water level was moderate. But when the woman returned with her dog to get the cow, she was overwhelmed by how high the water had risen. Even if she crossed, she still couldn't lead her cow back through the river. What am I going to do? She wondered. Suddenly, a man appeared across the river. A fragile young lady like you shouldn't have to work so hard to get across a river, he said. I'll build you a bridge. The man was not the usual kind of person she met. The young woman's perception of him was that he was a sociable person. He was talkative, yet something was strange about him. But her innocence allowed her to trust the man. I don't want to be a burden to you, sir, the woman replied. Don't worry, he told her as he began crafting a bridge. He merged the pieces of the bridge together with amazing speed. Soon it was finished. Oh, but how can I give you money for your work? Let's compromise. I am sure that we can find a fair solution. What do you think? The woman asked. The only payment I need is the first living thing that crosses the bridge, the man replied. She thought, this deal sounds strange. Maybe he's actually a river demon. She shivered because she realized that he had taken advantage of her and settled the deal somehow. But she had a plan of her own. She pulled a piece of bread from her pocket and threw it across the bridge. Her dog ran after it. The dog is the first living thing across the bridge, she said to the man. The man was angry. He suddenly changed into a half-human and half-fish. What's the matter with you? He shouted. You tricked me! I have no use for your dog! He screamed and dived into the river. The woman sped across the bridge to the other side and had a happy meeting with her dog and cow.
Cats and secrets. In English, there is a common idiom, let the cat out of the bag. It means to tell a secret. But where did this idiom start? It came from a part of England. Long ago, people there went from town to sell things like vegetables, clothes, and pigs. They had strong beliefs about honesty. They didn't like lying. One day, a man went to the town's center to sell things. I have a baby pig for sale. It won't cost much, he said. He held the animal above his head. His style was different from honest people's style. He was a master of tricking people and lying. A woman named Beth looked at his pig. He offered her the pig for 1 gold coin. That was a very small amount. Beth gave him the coin. He put it in his pocket. He walked ahead of Beth to get the pig. He gave her a closed bag and said, Here's your pig. He then left very quickly. Beth looked at the bag. It was moving. She opened it to let the pig out. A cat was inside. He tricked me. That isn't proper, she said. Later, the man returned to trick more people. Beth saw him, and the memory of the cat came back. She told her friends. They stopped him, but no one knew what to do next. Someone said, We need an independent and fair person to decide that. They went to the judge. Beth told him about the cat in the bag. The judge asked, Is there evidence? Can you demonstrate how he did it? Look in his bag, said Beth. She opened it and let a cat out of the bag. They learned the man's secret, and he went to jail. That's how the idiom, let the cat out of the bag, came to mean to tell a secret.